Well, hello everybody and welcome to another video tutorial. My name is Peter Drakulic, and today I would like to be continuing to the second part of modeling our fan here, okay, our mechanical fan. Well, to be honest, I will proceed to the second part with the rigging and making hierarchies and stuff like that. But I thought it will be really interesting to see what and to work on what the advent of BMS, the new features and possibilities for modeling, for adding detail to our models using the BMS is offering to us. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, a good habit we have to develop when it comes to modeling complex objects is to have the habit of giving them to the sub-elements of our objects some meaningful names, and this is what I'm going to do right away. And let's select this object here, go up here to the properties panel, and instead of circle, make this, let's say, something leg, right? I don't know, well, if this is the right name, but it makes some sense, you know. Let's go ahead and select now this and this this compartment here, and instead of sphere, let's change the name to something, let's say motor, right? Again, I'm not sure about this is the right name, but if it works, why not? Let's select this, and instead of Bezier curve, let's change this to something like more meaningful, like cable, right, for example. And let's select this and change this to something like cage, right? And this one, well, I'm not sure about this one, well, but let's name this something like blades axis, perhaps, well, maybe, and select this one and those blades here, and let's name this blades. And now we're ready, having named, having given names, some meaningful names to our objects. Let's go ahead and add some detail to the sub-elements of our fan. And let's start with the motor here object. Let's go ahead and select this and this one, and press forward slash on numpad so we can isolate it, and press 3 on numpad so we can we are at the side orthographic view, and press 5 to toggle between perspective and also orthographic views if needed. So having this object here, let's go ahead and tab into that mode, and well, actually I would like to add some holes, some openings here, some holes, some cuts here for like the holes used for air intake, for cooling the inside of the revolving engine inside this box here. So in order to do so, I'm going to be using a Boolean modifier and a cutter object. So let's go ahead and deselect all the vertices first of all, and switch over to the front view and border select, and select those vertices and press X to delete the vertices. Now let's go ahead and also delete those two vertices as well. Alright, and now let's go ahead and add a modifier, a mirror modifier. Okay, so now every change that will take effect on the one side, it will be reflected on the other side as well. So now let's go ahead and switch over to my side view, and well, now I would like to add the cutter object here, okay, the cutter object. So let's go ahead and add a Shift A and add a cube. Alright, tab into mode, scale our cube along the y-axis quite a bit, somewhere here, and let's scale it along the z-axis, somewhere here. Alright, now let's go ahead and select those vertices here by border selecting those vertices and delete the vertices. So I am left with this plane here. Now let's move our vertices along the y-axis somewhere here, and that would be a nice idea if I go ahead if I will go ahead and have selected my motor go to this little cube icon over here and enable from the display tab here the wire mode, so it shows the wire while being at the object mode. So having selected my cutter object, let's go ahead and give it the name cutter object up here. Alright, cutter, tab into the mode. Well, select those two vertices and Shift S, bring the cursor to selected. Okay, now Shift A, add a circle, and let's keep it as it is, 32 vertices for the moment, and scale the vertices down quite a bit. Rotate them along the y-axis by 90 by pressing RY 90, and now be border select those vertices here and just go ahead and delete the vertices. Now select all the rest of them from the cycle and scale them down quite a bit somewhere here and bring them down. And let's come zoom in a little bit closer. Okay, somewhere here. Alright, now select those two vertices here and Alt-Temp and merge them at center. Also do the same here for those two vertices. And well, if we were with the old school, the previous version of Blender with no BMS, then for making faces, for filling with faces, this one will require the addition of some nasty triangles here. But now, as you can see, if I select those vertices and press F to fill them, well, all it does is that it makes it fill them, creating an n-gon. All right, so with many vertices. Okay, so let's go ahead now and make this to be symmetrical by going ahead and press Ctrl R and adding a loop cut just in the middle. All right, so left click and right click and just in the middle, and then border select those two vertices and just go ahead and delete those vertices. Now select all the rest of them by pressing A and press Shift D to duplicate them, and now go down here for the mesh and mirror Z global. So we are going to be mirroring them along the Z global axis. Press left mouse click button to confirm, right? And now let's go ahead and bring them down somewhere here, okay, until they match this position here. Now select those vertices by B-border selecting them, Alt-Temp and merge them at center, and also deselect all the vertices, B-border select, Alt-Temp at center. So now I have only one vertex, right, for its side, okay, as you can see. Well, this is going to be my cutter object, as I told you just before. So just select all of them and scale them along the y-axis, scale them down somewhere here, and then press E to extrude them and X to extrude them along the x-axis, right, somewhere here, right, and move all of them along the y-axis until they come somewhere here, and perhaps scale them down. Well, not alright. Let's go ahead now and let's say that I would like to cut using the Boolean operation. I would like to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean 4 or 5 perhaps holes in my motor here, box, compartment, whatever this is. So let's go ahead and add from the modifier menu here a array modifier to my cutter object, and let's go ahead and make some changes here and change the relative offset from 0 out to the X tab, and instead make the Y offset something like 1, and even more than that. Let's hold down Shift and for having more accuracy and adjust this somewhere here perhaps. Okay, well, it's a matter of preference, and let's pump up the count to something like, let's say, 5. So, and now tab into edit mode and scale them down quite a bit, right, bring them somewhere here, All right, in general, trying to find a good, position for those cuts here. Okay, I think it's going to be okay. All right, now, right? So let's go ahead now and first of all, let's go ahead and save often. So let's go ahead and save. All right, and now select your motor here and add the modifier, and modifier is going to be Boolean modifier. Okay, and change the operation from intersect to difference, I guess, and make the object to be the cutter object. Well, perhaps intersect. I don't know why it behaves a little bit, weird. Alright, strangely. Alright, anyways. So, as you can see now, while I'm moving my cutter object, the geometry is changing. Alright, and you can see this live since we have enabled the wire option, right, for the motor object. Okay, let's say that I would like to tab into edit mode, heavy select my cutter object, and just scale this down a little bit, something like that. Alright, let's see now. Okay, I think it's okay now. Alright, now when I'm happy with the result of the Boolean operation, all I have to do is to having selected my motor object, click apply, and now I can move out of the way this cutter object and perhaps move it to another layer, perhaps. Yes, move to another layer. Alright, oops. Let's go to this layer and move them. Not both of them, but just the one of them. I mean the cutter object. So move them to another layer. Alright, so let's see how this it looks like. Well, it looks to be a little bit messy for the moment, but we're going to be fixing this. So let's go ahead and select this motor, uncheck the wire option, and add a modifier, and it's going to be an edge split modifier. Well, in our case here, well, you can see that the operation didn't have a success, and the reason for that probably is the normals. So we're going to be undoing all those steps and repeating them. Alright, and bring back my cutter object, and before applying the modifier, I'm going back before applying the modifier, and now here it is. Okay, I go ahead, tab into edit mode, heavy select my cutter object, and heavy select all the faces, Control N, and recalculate the normals outside. Right, now tab out edit mode. Okay, and change the operation for the motor. Change the operation from intersect to difference. So now it works. It was all about normals. So be aware of that. If you have some weird, strange results, then think about recalculating the normals outside by using the Control N shortcut. Okay. So now, as you can see, everything is fine and dandy, and all I have to do now is go ahead and apply the modifier, so I can open the holes to this motor object here. So let's go ahead and apply the modifier. Alright, so I can now move this cutter object to another layer and select my motor object. Okay, and go here and uncheck the wire mode. As you can see now, we have really some good cuts here, but it's going to be even better than this in just a while. Just go to the modifiers tab here and add the modifier edge split. As you can see now, when adding the edge split modifier, we have some perfect cuts here, as you can see. Alright, so have in mind, first recalculate the normals outside, and secondly, if you have some nasty, not good looking, strange looking, fong shading, all you have to do is to add a edge split modifier and adjust the edge angle or these sharp edges. Also, as you can see before, because we have a mirror modifier to our motor, this result has been mirrored on the other side as well. So that was about that. Now, what about making going ahead and trying to make an oval, you know, hard edge oval, you know, shape here? Okay, something like a cut here for a button to take. I mean, for that button switch, turn on or lock the rotation of the fan button. Well, for doing so, first of all, let's go ahead and have select my motor object, and let's go ahead and save first. Shift S and add the cursor to selected, and then Shift A, add a mesh circle. Leave the number of vertices to something like 32, and bring it up somewhere here. Okay, all right, somewhere here. Bring this up. Okay, and press Ctrl Shift Alt C and add and make and bring the origin to the 3D cursor. So now, if I rotate my circle, this rotation will take effect around the cursor. All right, and as you can see, all right. Now, let's go ahead and scale. Tab into edit mode, scale the vertices down a little bit. All right, and perhaps press 7 to move up. I mean, to move to the top view, and go ahead and border select half of the vertices and go ahead and delete the vertices. Now select those two vertices and extrude them along the y-axis by middle mouse button. Now select all those vertices here, alright, and press Shift D to duplicate them, and now Control M along the, or go down here, mesh and select Y global. So I have mirrored them along the Y you know, axis. And now let's go ahead and select those two vertices, Alt M, and merge them at center. Also select those two vertices here and merge them at center. Oops. All right. So now I have this kind of shape, right, that I'm going to be projecting onto the surface of my, you know, of my motor object here, using the string warp modifier. So let's go ahead and do it. So now, let's go ahead and tab out edit mode and go up here to the modifier stack and add a string wrap modifier. It is it's found at the deform middle column. All right. Now let's go ahead and define the target of this modifier, which is going to be the motor object. As you can see now, if I rotate, you can see that my oval shape is being projected onto the surface of my motor object. Well, let's go ahead and make some few adjustments here, a few changes, minor changes. First of all, change the mode of projection to project instead of near surface point, to project. All right, and also go ahead and enable to the direction, at the direction tab, the negative. All right, so it can move also at the negative z-axis. So go ahead and rotate my oval around the y-axis by pressing RY, and perhaps move it along the y-axis somewhere here. And let's say that we are happy to have this somewhere here. All right. Now, okay, as you can see, let's move to the to the wireframe mode so we can see it even better. And let's scale this down, and you can always have your modifier visible in the edit mode by pressing this little triangle icon here. Scale down this a little bit, and let's grab it somewhere here perhaps. All right. So now tab out edit mode, and if you are happy with the positioning of our button here, let's go ahead and press apply for the modifier. Let's go ahead and save first. All right. So now we have applied this, and let's go ahead and select this oval. Shift select my motor object and press Ctrl J and just, you know, merge them. Of course, now we have applied also the mirror modifier. That is a kind of an issue here. Well, we don't like this to be mirrored on the other side, but alright, we can always delete the mirror modifier for the moment, you know. Okay, we could always well, one thing we can do is go ahead and apply the mirror modifier. Let's go ahead and apply the mirror modifier by having the clipping option enabled. Apply the mirror modifier. Alright, and go ahead and select those vertices and just delete the vertices. So, well, we're going to be adding another modifier if needed later on. So let's go ahead and tab into edit mode. Alright, and let's go ahead and switch over to the face select mode and select those faces here. And just go ahead and delete the faces. Alright, so I have deleted those faces, and I'm going to be adding some faces now by selecting, look at that, now that we are in the BMass, using BMass, be border select all those vertices and press F, and immediately an n-gon is being created. That's the difference with the old school. Alright, by pressing F now we can create n-gons, excuse me, as well. So select freely, be border select all those vertices, press F, and, excuse me, well, I have selected probably a some here, yeah, this one. Alright, I deselect this and I press F again. Alright, let's deselect all of them, and let's, in those cases there where you have problem with selecting, just enable the limit selection to visible button here, and let's go. Alright, and selecting them, be border selecting them. Alright, and I press F, and this is our new, n-gon created also here. So now if I tab out edit mode, I have made this cut here, which is really useful for adding a kind of a button here for, alright, a button, switch button or things like that usually those machines have. So tab into edit mode, select all those edges here, alright, and all those edges, excuse me, here, shift those here, all the border around, okay, and just press F to fill with an n-gon. Now all I need to do is to extrude this n-gon along the local and the normal z-axis. So first of all, let's go ahead and switch over to the normal coordinate system and press E to extrude it somewhere here. Alright, so I have made something like that. Now press P to separate the selection and make it another discrete, distinct object. Tab out edit mode, select my object here, this button here, okay. Tab into edit mode, right, and press E, or even better, press W and inset the face. And from the slider here, you can see I can inset the face, right, and create another face, as you can see. Now extrude this face. Oh, not this face, but this one, the middle one. I mean, in the inner face, and extrude it. All right, now extrude it. Cancel. Right click to cancel the extrusion. Scale this up. All right, and now extrude it once more, somewhere here. Okay, and well, in general, I have made this, well, not perfect, perhaps, this kind of button here for locking perhaps the rotation around the z-axis. All right, perhaps it's a little bit big button, but it's nevertheless the idea, the concept is what I'm trying to show you. Well, let's go ahead now and save once more. So we have made this detail as well, we have added this detail, and now why not, let's go to our motor engine here, tab into edit mode, and let's try to add some detail also here. So select this row of faces and just go ahead and extrude them along the local z-axis here, somewhere here. All right, and now press Alt T and try to press Alt T, and in order to extrude them as individual faces. Alright, and now scale, right click to cancel and scale them, but before that go down here and switch from median point, which is the default, to individual origins. So now we scale them down relative to each one's individual origin. Okay, now extrude them along the local y-axis and just go ahead and delete the faces. Alright, so we have made something like that, which is another usual, a common, feature of cooling, for cooling the inside of our, for such, mechanical parts. Now let's go ahead and switch over to the vertex select mode and select this vertex and press X to delete the vertices. Well, I can now go ahead and having selected those vertices, Shift S, add my cursor selected, and Shift A, add a UV sphere. Well, it's a little bit big now. Let's rotate this along the X axis by 90. Alright, and scale this down quite a bit. Let's zoom in by pressing period or on our numpad, and let's scale it, switch over to the wireframe mode and scale it somewhere here. Alright, and now let's go ahead and press Shift H to hide the rest of the geometry, and press Alt to deselect all the vertices, and B to select all those vertices here, and just X to delete the vertices. Now select those vertices, Control L to select the connected geometry, bring them somewhere here. Now press Alt H to unhide all the geometry, select this vertex loop plus this vertex loop, and press W, very good tool, very useful tool, bridge, to add loops. Okay, so I have made something like that. Let's switch over to the shade select mode and smooth out the geometry. So here what I have done for the moment, and I think I have added some nice detail to my fan, to this part of my fan. Okay, of course it's a matter of preference, and you can go ahead and add as much detail as your heart's content. Now let's select the leg object and press Shift H to hide the rest of the geometry. Tab into edit mode. Select this vertex loop up here. All right, and let's just go ahead and Shift deduplicate them. All right, and now press P to separate the selection. Now tab out edit mode, select this object, and let's name this object as something like a ring, perhaps. Let's go up here and name it ring, perhaps. Ring. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to be trying to make a ring with a certain detail to this, using these vertices. Extrude them upwards first, somewhere here. Select all of them, Control M, recalculate the normals outside, and then Shift S, bring the cursor to the selected, and select one face here, and Control I to select the inverse geometry, and X the inverse faces. So now I can always go ahead and inset by pressing W, inset this face here, and alright, perhaps selecting this face and scale it along the normals by switching to the normals, bringing the Shift click this icon here so we can bring the scale gizmo and perhaps extrude it somewhat. Now I could always scale this down along the local X axis if needed, and Control R, adding some some craziness here, perhaps. Well, something like that. I mean, some detail. So let's switch over to the this view and border select those, and those faces, and trying to also this one, and scale them. And scale them local, switch to local, to global perhaps. Well, the faces. Well, I don't know why. We have something with normals, perhaps. Alright. Oh yes, I had enabled this option. I need the media point. Don't forget this. We need to switch over to the media point option. Okay. Alright. So now having selected those faces, scale them up. Right, something like that. Right, and then let's go ahead and add an empty here. Alright, exactly at the origin of this part here. And having selected this part, let's add an array modifier. Alright, an array modifier. Go ahead and uncheck the relative offset and instead enable the object offset and make this empty, which is going to be, let's name this ring something, ring ring object offset, ring offset. Alright, and select this one, ring offset, as the and pump up the count to something like, I don't know, 8 perhaps, and rotate our ring along the around the z-axis. Well, perhaps I have to apply the scale and the rotation. Rotate. Well, actually, yeah. Well, let's see what's going on here. Yes. And as I have told you in our previous lesson, we have always go ahead sometimes and apply the origin to the 3D cursor for our object. Alright, well, if this is the 3D cursor here, cursor selected, so let's go ahead and so that we bring the alright, so if I now rotate, yeah, it works. The key thing is that the origin of this of the array object and the empty that is going to be the offset to be exactly at the same location. Alright, so let's go ahead and now rotate our empty around the z-axis by I guess 22.5 perhaps, or no, by 45, I guess. Rotate around z-axis by 4 or 5 degrees. Alright, and now let's go ahead and enable the merge option, first and last as well, and pump this up. Let's see how it works. Well, let's go ahead and pump and lower this down in tab edit mode, and instead let's try to add some loop cuts right somewhere here. Alright, somewhere here, some loop cuts, and also let's go ahead and let's go ahead and make this array the subself modifier and move this lower. So let's go now. Well, the position of the modifiers in the stack does matter. So it's a different thing if I had the modifier up here. It's another thing if I have this after down in the stack after the array modifier. So in our case, this is what we'd like to have. So let's go ahead and smooth my ring, right? And perhaps let's go ahead and select those edges here, and this loop here, and extrude it inwards. Well, I'm not sure about that. I could always go ahead later on and add instead a solidify modifier. So let's go ahead and add the modifier solidify, and I think this is a better solution overall. Make the thickness something like that. Alright, so we have this kind of ring here. Okay, and I think it's okay with this, and we can always add a net split modifier an edge split modifier. Let's go ahead and close them. Alright, add the modifier, edge split, and so we can make this kind of, you know, of hard edge look. Okay, so let's go ahead and press Shift, Alt H to unhide all the objects, and let's switch back to my normal mode. And now, so actually, I would like to, let's press H to hide this compartment here, and let's move those two objects somewhere here, and let's scale them up a little bit somewhere here. So this is going to be the ring, okay, and well, let's go ahead and apply some modifiers. Alright, if we are happy with the result, and now let's go ahead and move this empty to another layer. We don't need it anymore. So we have here our object, okay, our ring, which is probably useful for quite a few places here. Alright, we can always duplicate it and place it somewhere else if needed. So this is going to be our ring object. Okay, so let's press Alt H to make visible all the objects. As you can see, we have made some progress, and we have added some detail to our to our fan. And we have also seen some useful techniques for making hard edge modeling, perhaps. Now let's go ahead and select the leg. Let's go ahead and tab edit mode and select this top row of vertices, bring them down. Alright, bring them down. Alright, somewhere here, I think. Okay, and now let's go ahead and Shift D, duplicate them, and P to separate the selection, tab edit mode, select this one, and make this inner cylinder object. This is going to be the inner cylinder object, right? And the inner cylinder object, tab edit mode, scale them down somewhat, and press 3 on numpad, bring them down somewhere here, switch over to the wireframe mode, extrude them upwards, and bring them somewhere here. I guess it's okay. Alright, tab edit mode, so we have that object here. Also select those edges here and extrude them inwards and scale them down, and perhaps select those edges here. And if we wanted to have them to be sharp edges, all we have to do, a method for doing so, is to press Ctrl E and add and select mark sharp. Now if I go ahead and select my leg object, go ahead and add a edge split modifier. Okay, this is going to be and uncheck the edge angle. Still, the sharp edges they are going to be creasing this this angle here. All right. Well, I can always play with the angle as well if needed. You can all right, but you can uncheck this and keep the sharp edges, so you can have more control, all right, over your which edges is going to be sharp and which are going to be smooth. Now let's go ahead and go to the inner cylinder and select all of the faces and press Ctrl N to recalculate the normals outside. So I have added some detail to our fan. It's about 4-minute tutorial until now. I suggest we continue to the next part. Perhaps we're going to be adding a couple of things, a couple of parts, perhaps, if needed. And until then, if you like the tutorial, please don't forget to subscribe. Hope you liked it and you learned something out of this, and see you hopefully soon with another part of these tutorials. Until then, have fun and goodbye.